Hey guys, surprise me here. I'm Elena, and today I'm going to be doing a pretty interesting video. This is pretty much based on some crazy, really brutal, interesting murder cases. And there's 19 of them to be exact, and from what I've read so far, out of these cases, they probably might scare the hell out of you. So, before we start the video, just to give you a pre-warning, viewer discretion is advised. Well, not that you're going to be seeing anything. I might add like some pictures of like the victims or the criminals. But overall, viewer discretion because of what you might hear in the video. Yeah, it's kind of creepy, some of these cases, but listen. If you guys came to this video to watch it, just be prepared to what you might hear, because I'm not usually one to hear about murder cases like this, but I figured this would be a really interesting video to film and just talk about with you guys. So, yeah. Other than that, let's begin. I don't know. I'm not ready for this, because really, like I said, some of these are like really creepy. But alright, here we go. Number 1, Tamara Samsonova, also known as the Granny Ripper. Samsonova is a 68-year-old Russian woman who murdered and ate at least 11 people and kept a diary, detailed, to be exact, of where she did her crimes. She killed her friend Valentina Olenova by drugging her salad with sleeping pills and using a handsaw to dismember her while she was still alive. Wow. Number 2, Icy Sagwa. This was a Japanese man that fell for a woman named Renee Hartevelt while he was in France. And he basically invited this woman over to where he was staying, and while she was there, he snuck up behind her and shot her in the head. And then he continued to eat her flesh for 3 days until he was caught in a park with 2 suitcases filled with the dismembered body parts. Now that sounds a little weird. Next one. Number 3, Lisa Montgomery. Montgomery lied constantly about being pregnant and losing her babies. In 2004, she befriended a pregnant lady named Bobby Jostinen and showed up to her house, strangled her with a rope, cut up her belly, and took out her baby. Bobby Joe was only passed out, so she woke up and wrestled to get Lisa away from her. But Lisa then killed her. That's intense. And creepy. Number 4, H.H. Holmes. During the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, Holmes charmed and lured victims to his castle of horrors. where he murdered them and hid their bodies in the walls. Rooms were built airtight. Hallways were mapped out like a maze. And a large chute was fed down to the basement where there were vats of acid to throw the bodies into. That's really creepy, and I could only imagine what those people went through before he actually, like, murdered them. It's intense. Number 5, David Parker Ray, also known as the Toy Box Killer. He sexually tortured victims in a decked-out chamber he called his toy box, filled with chains, whips, and even saws. Even though there's no actual proof he killed anyone, he is presumed to have murdered almost 60 women. And that's awful. Number 6, the Greyhound bus murder. So, while aboard a packed Greyhound bus in 2008, Vince Lai stabbed and beheaded 22-year-old Tim McLean. He proceeded to sever the rest of McLean's body parts and eat them in front of passengers. He was found not guilty due to insanity and is currently free. Oh no. I don't know, man. Shouldn't he be, like, okay, so if you're saying he's, like, he's not guilty due to insanity, why, like, I could understand maybe not putting him in jail, but maybe, like, you know, like a mental institution or something, but don't let the guy free after, like, something like that. You, like, imagine that, like, getting on, like, a freaking bus and expecting to, like, basically, I don't know, like, getting on a bus and then just, you know, taking a regular bus ride, and then out of nowhere some guy just beheads somebody and starts eating them in front of people. Now that's pretty creepy. Number 7, the Villisca axe murders. In Iowa, on the evening of June 9th and morning of June 10th in 1912, 6 members of the well-liked Moore family and 2 of their guests were basically slaughtered to death with an axe, and their faces were covered with their clothing. There were quite a few suspects, but the crime still hasn't been solved. It's really creepy. Number 8, Paul Bernardo and Carla Homoloka or something like that. This was a rich, good-looking couple that basically got off by killing. They raped and murdered 3 women, including the woman's little sister, who was given to Bernardo by Homoloka as a Christmas gift. While recording the entire evening, they drugged, raped, and left her for dead. What the actual crap? Oh, hell no. Alright, number 9. Christopher Porco. In 2004, Porco's dad was found dead and blood-soaked in his home. His mom was in her bed, face mutilated by a fireman's axe, but alive. Apparently, Porco had forged his parents' signatures on loans for college and a new Jeep, and they weren't happy, so he thought murdering them would solve the issue. Okay. Number 10. Carl Panzram. Panzram said he killed over 21 people and sodomized over 1,000 boys and men. One of his most brutal murders occurred in the 1920s when he hired 6 men to work on a boat with him in Angola. And shortly after, he shot them dead and fed them to the crocodiles. In his autobiography, he wrote, "For all of these things, I am not the least bit sorry." Number 11. Brenda Andrew. In 2001, an Oklahoma woman convinced her husband to up his life insurance policy. Had an affair with the man who worked for the insurance company, then shot her husband in the neck and torso with a rifle until he bled out. She's the only woman currently on death row in Oklahoma. Number 12. Dean Corll and the Houston mass murders. Dean Corll, Elmer Wayne, Henley Jr., and David Brooks kidnapped, tortured, and killed 28 young boys from 1970 to 1973. Each victim was either strangled to death or shot, and the murders were referred to the worst in American history at the time. The murder spree ended when Henley brutally shot Corll to death. It's fucked up, right? Pretty fucked up. Number 13. The Beast of Ukraine, also known as the Terminator. Anatoly Onoprienko would travel the countryside of Ukraine just to find a house and kill everyone inside. He killed a whopping 52 people using a hunting rifle, axe, and shotgun between 1989 to 96. Stole things from his dead victims and gifted them to his fiancée, including her engagement ring. Number 14. Mary Bell. Bell was 10 years old when she committed her first murder, strangling a 4-year-old boy, and the following year strangled a 3-year-old boy. For the second murder, she had an accomplice, and they carved their initials on the boy's body, as well as cutting off his private parts. She now lives in England under a new name. Number 15. The Toy Box Killers. In 1979, Royce Lewis Norris and Lawrence Sigmund Bittaker kidnapped, raped, and murdered 5 teenage girls in Northern California over the period of 5 months. The absolute worst part, most of the items they used for torturing these poor girls were tools you find in your own garage. Number 16, Carla Faye Tucker. She and her boyfriend broke into a friend's house one night in 1983, and while there, her boyfriend hit their friend in the head with a hammer. He started making gurgling noises, that annoyed Tucker, so she grabbed a pickaxe and slaughtered the 2 residents in the home. She was executed in 1998 by lethal injection. Number 17. Edmund Kemper, the co-ed killer. He brutally killed 6 female students, 2 of his grandparents, and his mom by the age of 24. He found the 6 girls in the mountains of California, decapitated it with them, and had sex with their corpses. As for his mom, he killed her with a claw hammer, had sex with her head, and then called the cops to turn himself in. Wow. Okay. 2 more. But before we move on to the next one, let me just talk about this one. Let me just say, like, how creepy that is. Because how would you go and kill somebody and then have sex with a dead body? I'm sorry, but what the heck? That's, okay, just like one being like, just going on a vicious murder spree to, you know, just to kill people and then have sex with their bodies. It's like, that's the worst possible thing. Like, oh my god. Number 18. Candace Newmaker's murder. In 2000, adopted 10-year-old Candace was taken to intensive therapy to help cope with being apart from her biological parents. During a rebirthing session, she was wrapped in flannels to represent a womb and instructed to free herself. She screamed and vomited and couldn't escape, while the therapist said, "You want to die? Okay, then die." The session was transcribed up to the moment where she suffocated. Number 19. Last one. The death of Sylvia Likens. In October 1965, police found teen Sylvia Likens' starved and lifeless body, tortured by hundreds of burns and deep cuts. The attack was led by Gertrude Beneszewski, a woman Likens was staying with the help of Likens' friends, boyfriend, and even her sister. Wow. That's a very fucked up situation there. Wow. Okay. Well, that was definitely interesting and creepy and scary thing to read and hear. I figured I'd try something new for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys have any suggestions on what other videos I should do, or maybe prank ideas, because I haven't done a prank with my brother in a while, or friends, or even I could prank my boyfriend. Those are just some ideas. Pranks. I could do some conspiracy theories, reaction videos. A lot of ideas come to mind. We could try different games, like do Cards of Against Humanity. So many things. But I'm gonna leave it to you guys. Help me out. Leave some suggestions down in the comments. Leave a like. And yeah. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.